law of the National Union of Lawyers of Cuba. He said that the Torricelli and Helms-Putnam Acts, in particular, are textbook examples of violation of the principles of sovereignty, equality, and non-intervention of the internal affairs of the state, mandatory regulations under international law. The General Manager of Financiera Cimex, or FinCimex, Janine Hernandez Gonzalez, explained to Caballerote that Cuban government has no direct role in receiving remittances. He pointed out that this is a commercial activity and is managed by a commercial entity, in this case, FinCimex. A non-foreign government, including that of the United States, has the right to dictate the island which company can manage remittances and which cannot. In October 2020, Washington banned Western Union's relations with Cuban institutions in charge of processing remittances to Cuba, specifically with Financiera FinCimex, unilaterally putting an end to the flow of remittances through regular and institutional channels. Hernandez Gonzalez specified that Western Union was the entity in charge of sending remittances to the largest Antilles islands, and under that scheme, the entity charged the remittance sender in the U.S. $5 for every $100 that were sent as a commercial commission. They paid FinCimex $1 for every 100 remittances for service rendered, which is a common practice in the international remittance industry. He clarified. It is false that FinCimex, the Cuban government, or the armed forces appropriated 20 or 40% of the money sent to Cuba from the United States. A falsehood that politicians in that country repeat endlessly. I insist the money sent was not subject to any tax when it entered Cuba. The recipient received the total amount sent. Executive reiterated that Financiera is a 100% civilian entity. None of its workers is voluntary, and the income for service rendered is part of the country's general revenue, and its lesson goes to the maintenance and operation of the company itself, including its technological infrastructure, and to make contributions to the national budget, or also to the economy as a whole. He commented that the main consequence of the interaction of remittances through formal and institutional channels was the increasing difficult and cost of receiving them. He said that the measure has had a negative impact on the standard of living of the recipients and on the pockets of those who send them, as it said that the people in the United States are currently paying up to $30 or more for every $100 they send to their relatives in Cuba through irregular channels. Hernandez added that another consequence has been the increase of uncontrolled currency transfers from that country to the island, something that is never positive and goes against what the international community is trying to organize and regulate. Cuba is suffering an economic war unleashed by the United States and intensifying the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, announced Tuesday Deputy Minister of the Foreign Trade and Foreign Investment, Ana Teresita González. In her Twitter account, the Cuban official described as genocide of the blockade applied by Washington against a Caribbean nation for more than 60 years. The Deputy Minister affirmed that this blockade policy affects all sectors of economic and social life of the country, including foreign trade, operations, and foreign investment. The day before, the Cuban Ministry of Transportation, or the TAN, reported that the U.S. blockade caused the International Air Transport Association to suspend for navegación from the VOC payment compensation mechanism in Spain. According to Mitran's information, the bank that carries out these compensations expressed its impossibility to continue such operations due to the blockade exercised by the United States. Cuba demands that the hostile policy seeks to asphyxiate its economy and its citizens, at the same time as it contemplates sanctions for those who trade or invest in the Cuban nation. The Vice President of the National Assembly of People's Power of Cuba, Ana María Machado, signed a request of members of the European Parliament to the European Union to cease its subordination to the United States regarding alliances against Iran. The legislator expressed on the social network Twitter that the infiltration of that community with imperial policies that harm the Cuban people so much is unacceptable. He addressed to Joseph Borrell, responsible for foreign affairs and security policy of the bloc. The members of the European Parliament urged the United Nations to move away from positions of confrontation and harassment subordinated to Washington's foreign policy with respect to Cuba. In the letter, they also urged the United Nations to leave aside the path of interference and aggression and to get forcefully on respect for the United Nations Charter and international law and on respect for sovereignty of peoples. They pointed out that the best path will always be that of dialogue and cooperation, and also referred to a statement made by both last July 29, in which he failed to refer to the U.S. hostility when he expressed concern about complaints from Cuba about the lack of medicines, food, and electricity. The absence of condemnation of the blockade and its devastating impact on the Cuban population is sincerely inconceivable, they stressed. They also asserted that any pronouncement on human rights in the Caribbean nation should unequivocally denounce the violation of these rights, including the health of the Cuban population as a result of the blockade. The Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples today thanked a donation to the Canadian Solidarity Network with the island, consisting of 1,920,000 syringes to support vaccination against COVID-19. During the act of receiving the cargo in this capital, the first Vice President of ICAP, Noemi Rabasa, highlighted that 20 organizations, Friends of the Caribbean Nation, unions, and Cuban residents there managed to raise more than $130,000 for the initiative. All of them had to face the restrictions and obstacles imposed by a sharp policy of economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed by the United States on Cuba, exacerbated in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. She said, recently the government of Canada and the United Nations Children's Fund managed to send a donation to the island of more than 1,200,000 tablets and 400,000 ampoules of this